Asta, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, so I have already made you this one your co-host.
Okay, sir.
Let us see whether Abhishek is joining or not.
No, sir, I talked with him. I will do the intro.
Just introduce and we'll start.
Hmm.
Don't know Abhishek, Rishikesh sir has joined. आस्था तुम सीरियसली सीख रहे हो कि नहीं पूरा सेशन? Okay, at least implementation part, okay, just thoroughly just try to learn. That will be helpful in campus also for you, fine? Because your
Yes,
campus
sir.
will come this month only. Okay,
Hmm.
from July only it will start.
Yes, sir.
Whatever implementation things are there, try to learn at least those things.
Hmm.
I've already given the reminder to Rishikesh sir yesterday. Rishikesh sir, have you joined?
Yeah, I have joined. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. So we'll wait for another 2 to 3 minutes, then we'll start.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you, sir.
मैम वो वर्कशॉप
Rishikesh sir, have you joined in the name of Rishi, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I am make you host so that you can share the. Asta, another 2 minutes, okay? At 10, 4 or 10, 5 we will start. 3 to 4.
Okay, sir. हाँ क्या हो जैसे बना
Rishikesh sir, currently you are in India or in at USA?
No, I am currently in India on holidays. Yeah.
Okay, good. Otherwise, it will be difficult to join from there.
Yes. Right now, yeah, it's 11:30 p.m. there.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but it is fine. Yeah.
Okay, Asta, you just introduce Rishikesh sir, then we'll start. I think should not wait more. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. We are excited to begin today's session with an expert who brings a rare blend of industry and academic experience in cybersecurity. It is our pleasure to welcome Dr. Rishikesh Sahai, Assistant Professor in the Department of Management Information System at the University of Illinois, Springfield, USA. He teaches digital forensics, penetration testing, and vulnerability assessment, and holds a certification as IEC ISA 62443 Cybersecurity Assessment, a cyber risk assessment specialist, making his expertise especially relevant to cybersecurity for critical infrastructure. Prior to academia, Dr. Sahai worked in leading companies like Ørsted and MAN Energy Solutions in Denmark, where he led cyber risk mitigation and compliance efforts. He has completed his postdoctoral research at Technical University of Denmark and earned his PhD from Sorbonne University, focusing on automatic cyber defense using software-defined networking. His research interests include malware analysis, cyber resilience, and software-defined security, aligning perfectly with the goal of this summer school. We are truly honored to have you with us, sir. We now invite you to kindly take today's first session. Welcome, sir.
Sir. Thank you, Asta. Now session is yours. This is sir.
Thank you, Satya sir, and thank you, Asta, for the introduction. Yeah, and now since you have already introduced me, so I will take this opportunity to start with my talk actually. And yeah, just a brief introduction that I would like to give. Like in this 5 sessions, I will cover fundamentals of penetration testing, ethical hacking, and also we will go through some hands-on activities like how we can install Kali Linux and other virtual machines to set up our virtual lab, where we will do the penetration testing, we will deploy some, we will do vulnerability assessment, we will go through the tools that we generally use to find out the vulnerabilities in the systems. And also we will work as a penetration tester and try to first identify the vulnerabilities, and then we will exploit them. And then we will also go through what type of countermeasures that we should think for deployment to mitigate those threats, because it is also important. The purpose of threat penetration testing and vulnerability assessment is to identify what are the threats, what are the vulnerabilities in the systems, and how it can be exploited by attackers, and then what are the countermeasures that we can deploy to mitigate those threats. And penetration testing, it also helps us like complying our systems with the different cybersecurity standards or regulatory requirements, because in many countries, even in different industry, that we have to comply with different regulatory requirements and cybersecurity standards. So these things helps us also in compliance and also in security. So let me share my screen. So I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So in the this session, I will basically cover some fundamentals of penetration testing and ethical hacking. We will not go through the hands-on, but I will provide some information on the tools, and then in the next session, we will go through some tools and also how we can set up our virtual labs, and then from tomorrow we can go into more details of penetration testing and vulnerability assessment. So, how it is important for security, like we hear terms like ethical hacking or penetration testing. So these things, generally the purpose is to work ethically and try to find what are the vulnerabilities that we have in our systems, and how cyber attackers or cyber criminals can exploit those vulnerabilities. And the idea is to identify how they can exploit, and then think for mitigation. So maybe, for instance, we are working in an industry where it is very difficult to update and deploy some countermeasures. For instance, in power plant or other critical infrastructures like shipping or aviation, it is very difficult to just find if we have found the vulnerabilities and just go and deploy that some updates. It's not it doesn't work like that. As it works in IT, so for the IT system, where if we find vulnerabilities in the operating systems or other systems, we can go and ask for the updates from the vendor and they will deploy it. But it doesn't work like that in many industry, because we have to go through a lot of checks and process, that maybe if we deploy some countermeasures, it can damage the overall systems, or it can damage the usability, or maybe something will go wrong and the whole power plant will be down for 2 hours or 3 hours or even for 24 hours. So we have to be very careful with the updates also in those industry. So I will go through those things later. But in this session, the objective is to go through some fundamental terms like ethical hacking, penetration testing, and how they are similar or how they are different also. And then we will go through what are the generally the motivation of attackers, and what are the common hacking techniques that they employ, and some fundamental ethical standards or that we have to consider in this area. So generally, when we discuss these things, we have to also identify profile and motivation of different types of attackers. So we generally, these are the terms that we use: good guys, amateur, criminals, or ideologues. So good guys like white hat hackers or like penetration testers. So their purpose is to identify the vulnerabilities in the systems in a according to the compliance, and also according to the legal standard, and work ethically and identify the vulnerabilities. So what they do generally, they sign some non-disclosure agreement with the company for which they are doing penetration testing. So for instance, let's say I'm working on with a company who are operating power plant, and we want to see what are the vulnerabilities in my engineering workstations. So maybe we don't have a infrastructure or support team in-house to do that. So I will sign a non-disclosure agreement with some third-party company, and they will do some penetration testing on behalf of us. And in the non-disclosure agreement, we will sign that, yeah, you have to focus only on these systems. You should not expand the scope of investigation or penetration testing. And also in the non-disclosure agreement, it is mentioned that, yeah, the vulnerabilities that you will find, you do not have to disclose it to internet or any other sources. So you have to comply with that. And if somebody is not complying with that, then they can file lawsuit. So those are the good guys, and those who work for a company and they try to find the vulnerabilities and also propose what are the countermeasures or mitigations that we can deploy to mitigate those threats. And similarly, ethical hackers also, they work in that. I will go through that. What is the difference between ethical hacker and penetration tester? And amateur is script kiddies that we generally call, who are just new in this field, and they are learning by going through a lot of resources or on the internet, and then maybe they will find some scripts that they can run and identify the vulnerabilities. So maybe those scripts are written by some experts, and they have found on over the internet, and then they are trying to run it, and they found some vulnerabilities, or maybe while running those scripts, they damage the system. So those are like amateur that we call. And criminals are the malicious actors. So their purpose is to compromise the infrastructure and identify the like what are the assets that companies or organizations have, and then try to exfiltrate all the information, like what are their revenues, what are the systems, what are the operating systems that they have, or if they are doing some particular business, or they are in the design of ships or aircrafts. So try to exfiltrate or compromise those critical information, their design, and then maybe sell it over the dark web. So those are the cyber criminals. So their purpose is to compromise the infrastructure and then steal all the trade secrets, organizational secret like financial revenue, and then they will sell it to their competitors, and then they will get a lot of money from them. So their purpose is to generally to get some financial gain. So maybe they are working on behalf of some competitors of the other companies, and they will just try to exploit some vulnerabilities and steal all the data and then sell it to their competitors. And on dark web, we can find there are a lot of cyber criminals that they will sell some ransomware, and we already know that there are many cyber criminals who are like providing ransomware as a service. So we have to be very careful with them, and they are the malicious actors. So they do not come in the like white hat hackers, or so they are very well trained, and they know how to find the vulnerabilities and exploit those vulnerabilities, and steal the data and then sell it to dark web or other competitors, and then get financial revenue. And then we also have ideologues, so who are working on with some political objective, and they are also sometimes state sponsored. So they have a lot of resources, they have a lot of time, and they have a very good infrastructure setup. So it is very difficult to secure our system with some state-sponsored attackers, because they have a lot of in time, they have a lot of resources, and they can hire well-trained hackers, and they can achieve their political objective. So it is really difficult to secure our infrastructure with those ideologues, or those who are very well-trained and state-sponsored. Because they generally have a lot of resources, and it is generally difficult to secure our infrastructure. We can create cyber awareness and secure our infrastructure, but yeah, it's difficult. So there are different, this was, I was talking about nation state actors. So they are state sponsored, and their objective is to like damage the critical infrastructure of other states to achieve their political goal, or try to launch some misinformation campaign and achieve their cyber warfare objectives. So securing our infrastructure with nation state actors or state-sponsored hackers, that is a really difficult challenge actually. And the main thing is that we need to create cyber awareness among employees, because most of the time they exploit some vulnerabilities in the systems, like they won't know, or maybe they will come to know while doing a scanning or recognitions, but they will compromise some internal employees. And then those internal employees, they will reveal some secret, and then they will use those secrets and compromise the infrastructure. So that best way is to secure our systems from insider threats. And because most of the time they collaborate with some internal employees, and then they work in collaboration and try to compromise the infrastructure. So we need to deploy the controls to mitigate these different cyber threats from different cyber attackers. So it can be technical. So in the terms of technical, when we talk about, it can be like intrusion detection system, deployment of intrusion detection system, firewalls, authentication, access control authentications, and intrusion prevention systems. And also we need to think in terms of like having multiple layer of security. So maybe at the boundary, we have, let's say, firewalls. Behind the firewall, we have, let's say, our intrusion detection systems. Then we have the network segmentations. Then we have access control or authentication and authorizations. And then we also have like biometric authentication to access some particular systems. And so these kind of technical controls, generally we call that, yeah, these are the technical controls that we have to deploy in our infrastructure to secure. But nowadays, security is not only about deployment of technical controls. Many companies, they have the very good technical controls, still they are getting compromised, and cyber attack is getting increased. Even we are doing research and developing new type of countermeasures. We are deploying the countermeasures, but still cyber attack is increasing, and many companies, they are getting compromised. So it's not only about technical, it's also about policies and procedures. So whether we have correct policies and procedures that we are following or not. So that is really important. For instance, let's say we have an internal developer team, and 5 people are in the developer team who are developing some applications. So we have to segregate their infrastructure with other corporate infrastructure. That is the first thing that we have to do. So that is also policies and procedures. We should not have a flat network. We should segregate those network, and that is also part of policies and procedures when we are developing our organizational structure. And also, like for instance, let's say I'm trying to enter in my organization, and I'm taking my badge and swapping it on my door, and then door is getting opened. So maybe somebody is behind me, and he or she is also trying to enter the premise of the organization. So we have to be careful. If we are opening our door and with our badge and getting inside after doing biometric authentication, we should not allow somebody who is behind us to enter in the premise. Maybe if the person is working in our team, and if you know, then that is fine. But if he just says that, yeah, I'm working in another department, in HR department or in other, and I forgot my badge, we should not allow them to enter, because maybe the person will come and he will just try to do recognitions and go into the data centers and other, and he will take the pictures, or she will take the pictures. And that is also maybe later on they can use those information after going through the organization and where the data centers are and how many systems that they have, and they can use those information to launch attack later on. So that is also part of policies and procedures. So we should not allow, for instance, somebody else to enter in our premise if the person doesn't have any badge. So, and also we need to have different types of access control policies. Like we should develop policies and procedure that we need to have multi-factor authentication for all critical assets, like our web servers, email servers, database servers. So that is the part of policies and procedures, and that we need to write policies document. And those policies and procedures should not be like more than 5 pages of document for any infrastructure. Like maybe you are writing a policies and procedure for your web server, so it should be the 5 page. So maybe in ITS or IT department, somebody is managing that web server. So he should go through those policies and procedures, and he should implement that. So policies and procedure also help us in compliance when we are complying with regulatory requirements. So regulatory bodies, they will come and see all those documents, like what are the policies and procedures that we have for security. And then they will go through the checks. So maybe they will test firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and then they will issue a certificate like, yeah, your systems are complying with the regulatory requirements. And then we need to have the physical security like doors, lock, CCTV cameras at critical locations like in our data centers and lighting fences. So these things are physical and we should definitely have. So many hackers, they like have different mindset. They have different objectives. Like maybe he's a victimless crime, or he or person hacker thinks that yeah, I will steal information or steal the money from the bank account, and I will distribute it to some poor, or the person is working for a state and he or she thinks that yeah, I will launch a attack in collaboration with somebody else and attack some other countries critical infrastructure. So that is also one mindset that a person is taking national pride, and he's working as a state sponsored attacker. And educational value of hacking, yeah, many people they are also driven by like yeah, they have been through this area and they are like always curious, and also they want to show that yeah, we know these core technology of hacking and penetration testing. So that is also mindset. So these are very fundamental things. So motivation of attackers generally differ. Maybe like is driven by some financial motive also. And also we should think that when we are doing this kind of assessment, whether attackers like they whether they have the means to commit the crime. So maybe let's say you are doing a risk assessment of your web server or email server, and you will profile that yeah, these are the threats like denial of service attack, or is let's say in the denial of service UDP flood attack, or TCP sync flood attack, or HTTP flood attack, or Trojan malware attack. So you will we also need to ask questions like, does the attacker have the possible or I mean whether he or she poses a capability to launch these kind of attacks or compromise our infrastructure. So you can think that yeah, there can be an external person or attackers who can launch the attack, but we need to also ask whether they can have those means. So maybe they can have means like if they are state sponsored, or if they are very well trained, they can have the resources enough to launch the attack. And what kind of motivation attackers can have. So maybe we are securing, keeping some trade secret on our web server, or product details, or product design. So that can be a motivation or motive of the attacker to compromise the infrastructure and then steal those details. And also, does the attacker have the necessary access and time? So maybe the attacker, they do not have enough time, or maybe if they are state sponsored, then of course they have enough time, enough resources to launch the attack. So these things also, when we are doing risk assessment, we need to think in terms of like whether attackers have a capability to launch the attack. So, or whether they have the motivation to launch the attack. So when we are talking about motivation, we should also think in terms of like what information we have in our assets, like email servers or database servers or web servers. What are the information that we are keeping? If there are no trade secret, or it is just the product price that we are selling, maybe that is not very interesting for the attacker. So maybe they will go through and some other assets, like database where we are keeping some trade secret. So we should also think in terms of these motivation means, and whether attackers have opportunity. They may have or they may not have opportunity to launch the attack. And then, yeah, these are the some motivations also, like beneficial contribution, status, or validation of themselves. So many attackers, they belong to some different communities. So they also seek some recognitions and like validation of their status as a hackers. So with that motivation also, many attackers launch the attack, and if they compromise some infrastructure of the company, then they will tell that, yeah, this shows that my status is valid. So they will go and talk in their community, or they will show those kind of status in on dark web. So that is also one thing that motivates attacker. And then the monetary or financial gain, that is definitely one of the main motivation of the attackers, that they try to get the trade secrets or organizational information like financial information, and then they will sell it to to other competitors of the organization, or they will sell it to on dark web, and then they will get those financial benefit. And then the ideology is also one of the main thing of the hackers. So many hackers, they are have some political objective, and they try to achieve that. So that is also one of the motivation of the attacker. So you can go through these slides actually. So this is like a brief history. I will not go in these details. You can read that. So this is like mainframe hacking, which started in 1970, and the first worm, Morris worm, which was developed in 1988. And this the first website defacement was done in 1995. And from early 2000, more aggressive attacking cyber attacks have been I mean, they are widespread from early 2000. And but from security perspective also, companies have done a lot in the last decades to secure their infrastructure. Like multi-factor authentication was also launched in the last 2 decades, and also a lot of development have been done in intrusion detection systems, in network segmentation, micro segmentations. So security also that has increased, but attack they are increasing continuously, and that also because of lack of cyber awareness among people. So ethical hacking and penetration testing, that we hear this term continuously. So the method more or less is same, but scope is different. So many companies, they also hire ethical hackers, and they also have penetration testers. So ethical hacker is more like they will work for the organization as black hat hackers, and they will just see like what are the vulnerabilities. So they will work and try to find the vulnerabilities in the systems, like maybe in the operating systems or in the systems that organization has deployed, like database servers or web servers, email servers. So maybe in the database server there is no input validation, and they will exploit it to launch SQL injection attack. So they will just work, and their scope is wide. It is applicable to whole organization. So the scope is different. So for ethical hacker, the scope is the whole organization. And for penetration tester, scope is limited. So penetration tester, maybe organization will think that, yeah, we need to do a penetration test for my web server and see what are the vulnerabilities and how it can be compromised by cyber attackers. So the penetration tester will just focus on web server. Their scope will be limited to web server only. They will not go and do the testing for database server or email server. But ethical hackers, they can do the testing for all the assets in the organization. And their objective is like to just think like a real attackers, and try to see what are the vulnerabilities and how I can compromise those vulnerabilities and exploit the system and get all the information. But penetration testers, they just focus, they have a limited focus. So if the organization has told them that, yeah, do a penetration testing on a database server, then they will just focus on database server, and they will identify what are the interface that we have with the database server. Maybe a web server is connected, email server is connected, but they will just focus like how what are the vulnerabilities in the database server and how I can reach to database server. And then they will try to see what are the vulnerabilities in my database server which can be exploited. So maybe there is no input validation, for instance, or there may be no multi-factor authentication. So those things, for the penetration tester, the scope is very narrowed. So they will just focus on database server. So that is the main difference between ethical hacking and penetration tester. So if somebody asks like, what is the difference between ethical hacking and penetration testing? So method or approach is same. They use the same technology, same tools, and same methods, but a scope is different. Ethical hackers, they have a wide scope for the whole organization, and penetration testers, they have a limited scope to a particular systems. And then we have different types of penetration testing, like black box testing and white box testing. So in the black box testing, for instance, organization will tell them that, yeah, you have to do the penetration testing on my database server and email server and let's say web server. So they will not disclose a lot of information. So they will show that, tell them that, yeah, these are my systems and this is how they are connected. So that's it. And then the penetration testers, they will go and use the tools to find the vulnerabilities, and then how those vulnerabilities can be exploited, and how they can compromise those systems. So black box testing, that is expensive for the organization, because they do not reveal or disclose a lot of information to the penetration testers. So penetration testers, they have to go through the whole process of reconnaissance and scanning the infrastructure, trying to find the vulnerabilities, and then plan how those vulnerabilities can be exploited, and then how they can steal those information. So it takes time. So that's why black box testing is expensive, and it also takes more time. In the white box testing approach, organizations, they will provide the details like, yeah, these are the systems. For instance, let's say database server, and it is connected to email server, and on which port, and what operating systems that are running on database server, what are the applications, and how those applications are connected with different systems. So they will provide all those details, and then penetration tester will do the penetration testing. So how it narrowed down, reduce the time, because they have all those information, like what are the operating systems, what are the ports running on those systems, and what are the applications running, and how they are interfaced together. So it saves a lot of time. So maybe they will not go and trying to find the vulnerabilities, or trying to find the services running on those systems, because they already know those things. So that's why white box testing, it takes less time, and it is cheaper also for the organization. So many organizations, they go with the white box testing rather than black box testing, because it is cheaper. So the role of ethical hacking, we already went through that. So their scope, as I mentioned, it is wide, and it is applicable for the whole organization. And they will just work as a black hat hackers, and they will try to find the vulnerabilities in the systems, what are the services running on the systems, what are the ports running on the systems, and how they can enter through those ports and exploiting those vulnerabilities on the infrastructure. And then they will perform all the other things, like trying to steal the information like attackers do. But they will try to also make sure that they do not damage the systems, because they are working for the organization, so they should not damage the system like cyber criminals they do. So they will, but they will work as a black hat hackers, and just trying to see how I can exploit the vulnerabilities and enter the systems and try steal the information. And then they will provide like, yeah, these are the countermeasures like we should implement, like we should have more fine-grained rules in firewalls, and then we should deploy intrusion detection systems just in front of our assets, and we should also have host intrusion detection systems on our systems. And then they will like, maybe organization will have a team who will implement the countermeasures. Just ask me any questions if you have. So when we speak about countermeasures, we should also be careful because when we implement a lot of countermeasures, or it can damage the usability of the system. So what usability means, like the way we are accessing the system and work with the system. So if we implement too much security and complicated security countermeasures, then it can damage the usability of our system. And what happens with the organization when they deploy too much security or complicated security technique, then it damages the usability, and people in the organization, they will try to bypass those security, and then attack happens because they will try to just see like how I can bypass this security because it is preventing me from doing a lot of things, and I'm able to work freely or work fast. So maybe, for instance, let's just take a basic example of multi-factor authentication. So maybe for every time we log in on our website or our internal page, maybe if we are navigating to some other portals in our internal organization, again we have to authenticate, and again the same multi-factor. So many people, they will see think like how I can bypass those things. So then the attack happens because too much security or complicated security, that will damage the usability of those systems or some. So when we are deploying the countermeasures, we should be very careful. Like we should not deploy complicated security protocols or complicated security techniques or mechanisms that will damage the usability. We should always try to balance the usability and security, because too much security or complicated security, it will damage the usability, and then people will think how I can bypass this security and get access easily to our infrastructure. So this CIA triad, I think many of you are familiar, like confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So that is a very fundamental things when we talk about cybersecurity. So confidentiality, you already know that what it ensures that all the information and that we have in our organization, they are like sensitive and they should be protected. So maybe we can have like encryption or multi-factor authentication to keep those information secure on our systems. Maybe we can also have full disk encryption and other techniques. So that is to just make sure that the information or assets that we have, they are well protected and our data is secure. And then we have the integrity. So integrity like make sure that system like the system and the data, they are protected from any modification. So any modification, when I mean like maybe somebody is trying to modify some data and which should not be done. So by, let's say somebody has login in the system and he's trying to, or she's trying to modify some particular information or data that we have collected. So that should not be done actually by those users. So if a developer is actively working and he's trying to modify and change and see how it affects the output, that is fine. They might be doing these things on their own internal developer systems, but not on in the production environment or in other systems. So in the integrity, it makes sure that any modification which can damage the infrastructure, we should make sure that it is secured from that. And then we have the availability, which makes sure that our system should be available 24/7. So, for instance, let's say in industry where many industry availability is major concern, like in the power plant, in the aviation sector, in the maritime, availability is major concern because even some information is stolen by attackers, that is fine, it is not a problem, but those systems should run all the time. For instance, our power plant, it should not go down. Even if somebody just steals some information is stored on our engineering workstation or HMI system, that should be fine. It is not a problem, but power plant should not go down. And also that goes with the maritime industry. If a ship is sailing in the ocean, it should not get stopped, or engine should not fail in the mid ocean, and ship should not stop. So they have redundancy. They have multiple engines, like 2 or 3 engines in the ships, where like if one engine fails, they can operate with the second engines. So in many industry, like this critical infrastructure industry, availability is a major concern. That even some information are compromised, that should be fine, but our system should not go down. But for instance, in financial sector, confidentiality is also very important actually, because maybe the financial information or transaction information that should not get disclosed. For those industries, like in the financial sector, confidentiality is major thing. And also in the for healthcare industry, confidentiality is a major thing, like patient data and other things that should not get out. And also in healthcare, availability is major concern. If they are doing some surgery, so system should be available. But in financial sector, confidentiality is a big issue, because those transaction information or financial details that should not be stolen by any cyber criminals. And here I would like to ask you a question, just give a thought. So do you think that if integrity is compromised, can availability be compromised? Anyone? Do you think if integrity of a system is compromised, can it affect availability?
So the participants are muted.
Okay.
Please
Okay,
check the
sorry.
chat box, please.
Okay, no worries. I
Uh,
didn't know. Yeah, so I will answer this. So yes, if integrity is compromised, it can damage the availability of the system. Because, for instance, let's say I'm working as a developer, and maybe I downloaded some libraries. Maybe I'm using Java or any other or Python in my infrastructure for developing some applications, and I downloaded some libraries which are vulnerable. Or maybe those libraries have been modified or uploaded by attackers, and I went there and downloaded some libraries and it worked fine. But there, I have used the modified libraries or tampered libraries. So when I will develop my system with those libraries, it will affect my availability. So maybe at some point of time, my system will go down because of those tampered libraries or modified libraries by attackers. So it can damage the availability. So if somebody asks like whether if integrity is compromised, can it affect the availability? So the answer is yes, it can damage the availability also. So that's why there are a lot of secure coding guidelines that we should be very careful when we are downloading the libraries while developing the system using any programming language. So we should be careful and also make sure and check the hashes and checksums that, yeah, it is correct and it has not been modified. So that's why we do the checksum and check those or hashes when we download those libraries. So there are a lot of secure coding practices, and the purpose is that. So, for instance, secure coding practices that also comes as a part of policies and procedures. So many organizations, they develop these kind of secure coding practices so that developers can follow that. So, for instance, maybe today, for example, I did some programming and developed some modules. So by the end of day or by tomorrow morning, somebody else from my team, they will review those codes. So code reviews should also be the part. So maybe I have developed a module using some libraries which is vulnerable, or I have not used the secure coding guidelines. So somebody else who will review that, they will find that, yeah, here I'm missing those details. I should be careful with that. So that is a part of policies and procedure, and organizations should implement that. So that is not a technical control, but it is administrative or policies and procedure control. So this is a common hacking methodologies like reconnaissance, scanning, infiltration, and escalation. So what happens in the reconnaissance stage? So that is a first stage of any penetration testing also and hacking also. So what attackers generally they will do, they will scan the infrastructure and try to find what are the services running, what are the ports open, and what are the operating systems that organization have. And also they will try to find what is the topology of the organization. So all these things are part of reconnaissance and scanning. So or many attackers, they will scan a whole infrastructure, and they will try to understand what is the topology that organization has. And reconnaissance can be passive and active also. So passive reconnaissance means like I'm not directly interacting with the systems, but I'm maybe just trying to find the information on some other portal. So maybe let's say I'm trying to collect information from a particular organization. So first thing I will do, I will go on their website and try to find what are the informations that they have on their organizations. So for instance, let's say I'm interested in their IT department. So I will go and try to see who are the people working in the IT department, who is the IT director or senior manager, and what are their emails, phone numbers. So as much information that I can extract from their website, I will try to do that. So that is also part of reconnaissance, and I'm not interacting with their infrastructure. I'm trying to collect the information from their website, maybe from their they have a web page, or they have a page on the social networking platform like Facebook, or on professional platform like LinkedIn. So I will go there and also see who are their employees and what informations that they have. And then I will collect all those informations, and it helps like attackers, they will do reconnaissance for a long time before launching any attack. And then I will try to find all the emails, phone numbers, employees details, and also in which domain that they are working. And so maybe after doing all these things, I will try to launch social engineering attack, phishing attack, and I will send a phishing emails to all those employees. So maybe let's say I have I have done a reconnaissance for 500 employees or 400 employees, and if I will send the phishing emails, so maybe 10 or 20 people will click on those phishing emails, open that, and then they will download the attachments, or they will click on the links and provide further details. So here, as an attacker, I am not interacting directly interacting with their system, but I'm passively collecting all the information. So that is a passive reconnaissance that we call. And in the active reconnaissance, we directly interact with their system. So maybe we'll do the scanning, for instance. So that is a part of active reconnaissance. So maybe I will use some tools and directly send some packets and then try to analyze those response and then try to understand what operating systems they have, what are the port services running that on those systems. So that is active reconnaissance that we call. And then infiltration is like once we have all the information, like what are the ports open, what are the services running, then I will try to enter in their systems through those open ports or through those services which are running. Maybe those services are having some vulnerabilities, and I will try to use those vulnerabilities and infiltrate their infrastructure. And then exfiltration is like once I am as an attacker, if a person is inside the organization, maybe the person has already compromised the web server, then what they will try to do, they will try to get higher privilege. So higher privilege means maybe, for instance, they have got a normal user privilege. They will try to get the admin privilege so that they can deploy some malicious tools, install some malicious tools, and then extract all the data. So for instance, going back to the reconnaissance phase, and so after doing reconnaissance, if I have collected all the employees' details and I'm sending the phishing links, phishing emails stating that, let's say, this is a Christmas vacation and here is a discount coupon for like for some gift or for travel, then many people, they will click on those links and then they will try to enter the information. So I will use those information, and then maybe the person has entered some username and password which I can use to get access to the computer. So maybe I have got a normal user, right? So generally, when attacker enter in the system, they enter as a normal user. And then they will try to get higher privilege like admin rights so that they can install some tools and which will monitor their infrastructure or help them in doing lateral movement and get more information about the organization. And once they have all those details and they have deployed the Trojans, then they will like access further details and achieve their objective. So that is the general phase, like assault. Once I have installed, like let's say the Trojans, and after getting the admin rights and got all the information, maybe I will encrypt the files or deploy some malware which will damage the systems. So that is the like assault. And many attackers, what they will also try to do, they will want to cover their tracks. So obfuscation means like, for instance, I have achieved my objective and I have collected all the information from the systems. So I will try to clear all the logs because maybe I'm trying to steal the information and I have deployed some Trojans or malware. So Windows will also create a log for all those activities. So as an attacker, what they will do generally, they will try to delete all those logs, because once organization knows that, yeah, their infrastructure have been compromised, so what they will do generally, a system administrator or security administrator, they will go and see the logs. So that is the first thing that generally they do. They will go and see the logs. So what happened, what application was installed, and or when our organization was compromised. So maybe let's say a malware was installed by the attackers. So they will try to see when the malware was installed, on which date, at which time, because that will also help them to know that from when the organization was compromised, or from when the malware was installed, so how much damage it has caused. So all those information they try to find from logs, and also from log they can get to know from where the attackers came into our infrastructure. So attackers generally they will try to delete all those logs so that system administrator or security administrators they cannot do forensics and get the information. So that is like clearing the logs, and so that attackers, system administrators, they cannot do anything or analyze the activities performed by attackers. So when we perform penetration tests, it has some different stages like planning, discovery, attack, and then you can see that here we have a feedback loop. From attack to discovery again. So what it means, so in the planning stage, for instance, we have planned that, organization has given that we have to do a penetration test on the web server. So what are the interface that web server has? And also we will go through like what tools that we will use to identify the ports running, services running on those on the web server. So what are the tools that we will use? And then what are the further tools, like what is the framework like Metasploit or CrowdStrike? So what I will use to find to do further test. So all these comes in the planning stage, and who will do what. So once we have done that, then the discovery stage is like running, for instance, recognitions tool like Nmap, or scan the infrastructure and get all the open ports, services running, operating system details, and topology details. And then once we have those information, we can leverage that and then find what are the attacks that I can launch. So maybe I can deploy some Trojan which will silently monitor the infrastructure and give me details. And once I'm getting those details from my remote access Trojan that I have deployed, I will use those information to launch further attacks. So that is the feedback loop. So here, once I have the information provided by my remote access Trojan, I will leverage those information, and then I will launch further attack on the infrastructure. And then once we have done the whole penetration testing, we should also provide a good report to the organization, stating all the vulnerabilities, all the different types of attack that is possible to perform, and then what are the countermeasures? What are the countermeasures that organization can deploy to mitigate those threats? And also we should provide the severity. For instance, how severe this vulnerability is. So maybe that is very high, because it can provide access to our critical resources, and attackers can damage our infrastructure. So a very good report should also be provided by penetration testers to the organization, because that is also helping organization in securing their infrastructure. If we do not provide a good report with all the vulnerabilities and what are the attacks possible, what are the cyber threats, and how we can mitigate that, then organization cannot do anything. So preparing a good report is also a part of this whole process in cybersecurity. So when we are performing penetration test, of course, there can be different types of attack that we can perform, like technical attack, where we perform network scanning and try to find all the vulnerabilities or services running on the operating systems, and what operating systems that they have, and how they are those systems are connected to other systems. And then we have also like technical attacks in terms of like bypassing the Windows security, for instance, Windows Defender that organization is using, or maybe some other third-party malware protection that they are using. So as a penetration tester, we will also see whether we can bypass those or not. And then we have the administrative attacks that is on like the processes that they have. So maybe we will try to find what are the processes that they have, whether we can bypass those processes or not. And then the physical attack is like, yeah, breaking the organization's infrastructure, for instance, bypassing their biometric authentication and entering in their premise and stealing the equipments, or getting all the details of like organizational infrastructure premise, or how where they have the different systems. So that is a physical attack, that like directly entering in the organization and then getting all the information. But generally, when we do the penetration test, we generally focus on technical attacks, like what are the vulnerabilities that organization has, and how we can exploit those vulnerabilities and launch the attack. And then also we try to see uh, what are the policies and procedures that organization is following, and whether we can bypass that or not. But yeah, generally we focus on technical attacks while doing the penetration test. Physical attack, we do not do that. Of course, like we can do the social engineering phishing, but the physical attack, it's not, I mean, widespread in doing the penetration test. Of course, in the organization, we do like fire drilling and those things. So those things are also a part, like if something, some incident occur, how we can use the exit doors in the organization and go out. So when we are performing, our organization is giving a task to perform penetration test, we have to prepare, like we need to do a pre-assessment of like what are the systems that we have. We need to get all the details. So we will generally, what organization does. So when I was working in the company, what we generally used to do, we used to give the system details to a third party organization who were specialized in doing penetration testing. So they will come to our company, and then we will discuss that, yeah, this is the system, like engine control systems, that you have to do a penetration testing. And we will give them some details, and then they will note down all those details, like operating system that is running, what are the applications running on the engine control systems. And then they will keep all those information, and they will also they used to ask some questions to clarify what those applications are. So, and then they will use those information, and they will take the machines, and then they will do the penetration testing, and then they will provide us a report, like what are the vulnerabilities that we have in the system, and how we can close these gaps, or how we can mitigate those threats. So this is from pre-assessment, assessment, that is doing active penetration testing, and then providing some report, that is the post-assessment. So in this area, so the whole purpose of doing the penetration testing is to secure our infrastructure. And also many companies, they have to comply. I mean, in all the industries, organizations have to comply with some regulatory requirements. Financial sector also, they have to comply with some regulatory requirements, and these cybersecurity standards or requirements are part of those regulatory requirements. In power plant also, they have to comply with the different regulatory requirements, or also with the cybersecurity standards like IEC 62443. And these penetration testing helps in that process. I mean, because many regulatory bodies, when they will come, or certifying body, when they will come to for seeing whether we are complying with the regulatory requirement, they will ask this, whether we have done the penetration testing or not, and what were the vulnerabilities reported while doing penetration testing, and what were the countermeasures, and whether we have implemented those countermeasures or not. So all these are like part of ethical standards, some cybersecurity standards. And knowing those cybersecurity standards, that is really helpful, because that will help in organization in complying with the regulatory requirements. Because many a times, if organization is not complying with those regulatory requirements, they will be they will get some fine, so they will have to pay huge money. And also compliance help them in security, like because while working on compliance, they will implement some security countermeasures. They will secure their infrastructure, and then that helps them also to get aware about the threats and vulnerabilities, and implement some security countermeasures. So because many organizations, they have the different objective. For instance, let's say a company who is working in the power plant, their main objective is to run the power plant. Maybe they are not very well into security. Of course, nowadays they are getting into security because these power plants are also getting online, and that is exposing them to cyber threats. So now they are getting aware, but their main objective is like their power plant should work. They are not very much bothered about security. So once they will know these requirements from regulatory bodies, like, yeah, these are the security requirements that we have to implement, because since we are getting online, so maybe our power plant is exposed to some cyber attacks, and that can also compromise the availability and safety. So maybe if cyber attackers compromise the power plant, it can stop the let's say engineering orchestration or HMI system, or it can issue some control commands that can like shut down the whole power plant, or it can cause some explosion also, and that can cause some death. So that is the legal requirements to comply with the regulatory requirements, and these organizations, they are getting into that. But their main objective is like we should operate the power plant all the time. They are less bothered about the security, but they are more concerned about the safety and availability of the power plants. But these standards and regulatory requirements that help them in complying and also getting aware with the different cybersecurity standard. So we went through those reconnaissance scanning and elevation of privilege, and also like how it can be used by attackers to get information and achieve their objective. So this is other cyber kill chain framework, which was developed by Lockheed Martin company, an American company. So this is like the whole cycle of how cyber attackers they work. So this is the reconnaissance that we just went through. So reconnaissance is like getting all the information about the organization. For instance, harvesting their email addresses, like collecting the email details of the employees, maybe through their website or through different social networking platforms, their phone numbers, and other details like the name and the positions that they are into, or roles and responsibilities that they are into in the organization. And then they will use those details like email addresses or phone numbers to first what they will do, they will, after doing all the reconnaissance activity, they will just note down all those details, and then they will develop some malicious code. So, for instance, they can develop some payload or trojans that will be delivered by the cyber criminals through phishing emails. So maybe what they will do, they will develop, let's say, a remote access trojan that will help them to get access to the systems once it is deployed, and then it will send information or wait from the command and control server to do some activities. And those once they have done the development of the like remote access trojan, they will use phishing or social engineering technique to deliver those tools that they have developed, or trojan or payload. And for instance, most of the time they use phishing emails, and they will attach these kind of payload to some, like, let's say Excel sheet or PDF, or they will just give a link stating that, yeah, let's say they are sending these phishing emails on the during the Christmas vacation. So what they will do, they will write an email that, yeah, this is a coupon and company is giving that, and you can go and click on this link and register the details, and then coupon will be issued to you. So many people, what they will do, they will go through those links, register themselves, provide all the details, and then during that process, once they are done, those Trojans will be automatically downloaded on those links. And many times what happens, they will even if they will just click on those links, in the background, those payload will be deployed and installed automatically. And once they have been delivered in those systems in the organization, they will start communicating with the command and control server. So that is the exploitation. So exploiting vulnerabilities to execute code on victim system. So they will send some information to the command and control server, and then attackers, what they will use, they will use these Trojans, the access that they have got on that system through these Trojans. They will deploy some further malicious code. So maybe some more like stealth malware that they will deploy on those systems, and then they will exploit, extract all those information from those systems, like financial details, trade secrets, and everything. And they will do all kind of malicious activities through their command and control server. And once they have done that, they will clear all the logs. And once their objective is achieved, because they would prefer to be safe, that system administrators or security administrators, they should not trace them back, or they should not know what tools were installed at what time on what date. So to hide all those details, so that administrators, they cannot do forensic activities, they will clear all the logs once they have achieved their actions and objectives. So this is a cyber kill chain framework that was developed by Lockheed Martin. So at many stages in these cyber kill chain framework, we can stop the attack from happening. So we can, once attackers are developing the payload and they are delivering that, of course, we can stop at this point of time. If we have good email security, maybe it will identify that, yeah, this is a spam, and we should block all the spam, or we should not allow those links to get open. So of course, at this stage, we can stop the attack. Even once it has been deployed, if we have a good intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention system, we can stop the attack. So maybe let's say once the remote access Trojan or payload has got access in our system, and intrusion detection system founds that it is communicating with some command and control server, they can just block that, and they will, or maybe let's say if we have a good malware protection, it will just quarantine that, and then system, as a system administrator, we can analyze that. Even at this stage, installation of malware, we can stop the attack from happening, in terms of, like, if we have a good malware protection software, that like maybe Windows Defender and other third-party malware protection, if we have, we can achieve, we can secure our system. And if we have a proper network segmentations firewall implemented properly, we can still stop the attack at this stage. But from this stage, it is very difficult to stop. Once the malware is installed and it is working fine, then it is really difficult to install. I've given all these details here that I just spoke, like reconnaissance, you already know that it scans corporate network and try to find all the vulnerabilities. And then weaponization, attackers try to develop some malware or Trojan to that they will deliver it to the organization. And then in the delivery stage, we use generally the social engineering toolkit or phishing emails, so that people in the organization, they will go through that link and they will register some information, and then those payloads or malware, they will be downloaded. And then in the exploitation, they will deploy some other strong or stealth malware using the remote access Trojan, and they will get all the data. And then, yeah, once they have done that, they will exploit all those, extract all the details from the organization, trade secret and other things. And then the actions and objective is like, once they have done that, they will clear all the logs so that system administrator or security administrators, they cannot trace them back, like what happened, at what time the incident happened. Because if they have not cleared the logs, system administrator and security administrator, they can get the logs and try, they can see that at what time remote access Trojan was downloaded or installed on our infrastructure, and then at what date and what time the malware was installed and how it was installed. So they will get all those details, like from which source IP address that Trojan was communicating, and from which source IP address, using which port, destination port, source port, and using which protocol that malware was installed. So everything they will get to know, and that will definitely help them in securing their infrastructure in future. And also they will use those things to do further forensic activities. But if the logs have been deleted, then it is very difficult for the attackers, I mean, for the security administrators to do the forensic activities. Of course, there are other core cyber forensic method that still we can do that, but it takes a lot of time and money as well. So these are the security controls. So the whole purpose of going through these cyber kill chain and reconnaissance is also to understand what are the countermeasures that we can deploy to mitigate these threats. So threat intelligence, we should always be proactive and do the threat hunting and enrich our logs with the different threat intelligence. And we should have a network intrusion detection systems, like some custom intrusion detection system, or from some company who are specialized in that, or we can also use open source intrusion detection system like Suricata, Snort. And then we need to have access control policies, firewall rules that should be deployed properly, and firewall should be configured very well. So the basic policy in when we are deploying or configuring the firewall is that it should deny by default. So if there is no rule for a particular traffic that is coming from a particular source IP address, let's say, and if firewall doesn't find any rule inside it in the rule log, it should block those traffic. So that is the basic firewall policy, that it should deny by default. And then to prevent from weaponization, of course, we need to have a threat intelligence that we should do with different threat intelligence platform like VirusTotal or other things. And we should have intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system, so that if IDS detects that, IPS should block all those tools or traffic. And then, of course, we need to have a malware protection software that should be installed in our systems. And we should also perform application whitelisting. So that is a very fundamental things when we are securing our infrastructure. Because let's say you are trying to secure your web server, so, and you know very well that what are the applications that are running on my web server, and with which applications or servers that they communicate. So we should do application whitelisting in our firewalls and allow only those applications to communicate with the servers. And then we should have host-based intrusion detection system. So host-based intrusion detection system is different from network-based intrusion detection system, because host-based intrusion detection system, it only detect intrusions or threats that are and analyze the traffic that is coming on the host machine, for instance, on web server. So the host-based intrusion detection system that is deployed on the web server, it will only analyze the traffic that is coming on the web server. It will not analyze other traffic. But network intrusion detection system like Snort, Suricata, they will analyze all the traffic that is going to different systems, because they are a network-based intrusion detection system. And of course, we need to have access control list in our routers And then to prevent from exploitation, also we need to have malware protection. We should buy good anti-malware protection, antivirus softwares, and then we should have host-based intrusion detection system. And of course, we need to patch our system properly and periodically. If we have found some vulnerabilities, we should patch our system to secure those vulnerabilities. And of course, we need to use secure password. And also we need to have CM tools like security information and event management tools to stop the from different types of threats. For instance, let's say in your organization, you have firewalls, you have intrusion detection systems, you are having a router access control list, you have access control authorization, you are also you also have for instance, Windows Defender. Uh, so all those security tools, they generate different logs. So for instance, when you are analyzing the logs to find the intrusion or threats, and if you are going on every logs on every system, for instance, you are logging into your firewall and then trying to analyze the logs, then you are logging into your intrusion detection systems and then trying to find the threats or information you are analyzing, then you are going on routers and analyzing. So it will take a lot of time. So these tools like security information and event management CM tools, it reduces those time, because what they will do, they will pull all those logs from different sources, like from firewalls, from intrusion detection system, from Windows Defender, Windows event logs, everything on a centralized platform CM tool. So for instance, the widely used CM tools are like Splunk, Elasticsearch, if you have heard these tools. So many organizations, they use these CM tools, and they will get all the logs from different sources at a centralized platform. And then security like SOC analysts, they will go through those logs and they will analyze it for the intrusion activities. And it also minimizes the time. Instead of going through logging into different systems and then analyzing it there, we are analyzing it at a central platform, and then we can issue the command or configure the systems to block those malicious traffic. And of course, we need to have multi-factor authentication, a strong password. So, and also we should have a principle of least privilege. So principle of least privilege is like we should give privilege to users only to perform their activities. So for instance, let's say I'm a normal user and I do not need privilege to install the applications or tools. Then I should only have the privilege to complete my task. For instance, just to review the documents or enter some data in the Excel sheet. So I should have the privilege only to perform those activities. I should not have privilege to download the tools or from any public internet and install those tools on my system. And if a person is developer in the organization, of course, he needs to download the libraries and other things. Then they can provide those access to the developers. So that is like we should always have principle of least privilege. We should only give minimum privilege so that a user can complete his or her task. And then we should have the whitelisting, that of course all the organizations, they know that what are the systems they have, what are the applications running, and they also know that for instance, which application is communicating with which server. So we should have a proper whitelisting of all those applications, and we should have a whole whitelisted rules in our firewalls. And then of course, we need to deploy the router access control list and network-based IDS, network segmentation. That of course we should do that to prevent any compromise. So network segmentation, it helps. For instance, let's say your developers are working and they are downloading some libraries from public internet and working with that, using those libraries to develop a module for an application. So those networks should be segmented from other networks. The HR, they should have a separate network. IT, they should have a separate network. automation department, they should have a separate network. So that helps, like, for instance, let's say a malicious code or malware was downloaded in the developer environment. So then it will not propagate to other network. It will just be in the developer network, and then we can quarantine that and like scan that whole network again and trying to see if there is any other vulnerabilities present or not. So these are some laws that was like in the US computer fraud and abuse law that was enacted in 1986, and then Electronic Communication Privacy Act that was proposed in 1986 also to prevent any kinds of eavesdropping or interception of any messages without having proper rights. So these are the different laws and standards in the US that you can just go through that. And then the most important that was like in 2018, the European GDPR that was proposed to like have the privacy of personal information of all the EU citizens in all the European Union EU countries. So that was enacted in 2018, and in that also limit the it impacts these penetration testing activities, that we should have some non-disclosure agreement. And for instance, if we have in the process we have found some vulnerabilities, of course we should not disclose those vulnerabilities on public platform. So that is the summary that we went through different motivation of hackers, and also what is the difference between ethical hacking and penetration testing and common hacking methodologies. And we also went through cyber kill chain framework. So let me know if you have any questions. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you for the presentations. I just wanted to have a little clarification on this. You know,
Yeah.
in many African institutions and businesses, especially in the public sectors and small businesses,
Yeah.
there was these faulty computers, storage devices are often sold or discarded without proper data sanitations. So sometimes only files are deleted through normal systems operations, given the known weakness in the cybersecurity infrastructures and awareness in these environments. So I just wanted to know, how likely is it that threat actors will recover sensitive information or confidentiality data from such devices, and what low cost the practical methods can be implemented across to ensure security data disposals in low limited settings? So sometimes we only deleted the data. Can it be recovered from hackers if those devices were sold? That is the question, sir.
So, sorry, if I correctly understand your question, so that is like in many countries that they rely on open source and tools. That was the question. That how
My
we can
question is,
ensure.
can deleted data be recovered by hackers? That is the question.
Sorry, can you say it again?
Can deleted data be recovered by hackers? When you
Yes.
deleted the data, can it be recovered?
Yeah, that can be recovered. So if hackers has already deleted, removed some data, there are tools that we can from which we can recover those data. So that is also the case in forensics when we are doing cyber forensics, and some hackers has like if they have removed some data after doing something, of course we can get those data. So generally in what happens in the hard drives, like let's say they have compromised the servers and they have deleted some data. So we can recover those data from those servers by running their some forensic tools. It is possible. So if they have not used any tools to overwrite those places, so what happens in the hard drive? Those data are written in sectors, and if they have not overwritten those sectors or places where data is stored, then we can recover those data. But if they have used, many cyber criminals, what they also do, they will extract the data, and then they will also overwrite. There are some tools that they can use to overwrite those places in the hard disk. So they will just randomly overwrite all the hard drive with 010101, and then it becomes really challenging to recover those data. Still, it is possible in very specialized forensic labs. They can still recover those data, but that is challenging thing, and it is also costly. But if they have not overwritten hard drive with some random information, then definitely we can recover those data. I hope I answered your question. Any other question?
Yes, so he has replied on the question that you have answered it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, in the chat, I can see that there are some other question like remote access Trojan is the only method to compromise or interact with the target system, or there are alternatives. Of course, there are other alternatives, like if they get access to the systems by compromising the credential of some privileged employees, they can access those systems. So that is also possibility. But generally, they first deploy the remote access Trojan if they do not have some credentials to access the infrastructure. Any other?
So there's another one from Tripendra Paul. It's sir, how cloud security such as some antiviruses work on internet since hackers are disrupt the internet by DDoS or other method. So can you decipher it?
Let's check that. Um, just give me a second. I'm trying to find. Yeah, how cloud security such some antivirus work on the internet only since hacker can disrupt the internet by DDoS or other method. So when we talk about the cloud security or like organizational security or data center security, the first thing is like our perimeter. So in the perimeter, at the perimeter, generally we have the firewalls, and then that will like if the firewalls know that yeah, this is the traffic that should be allowed, then they will allow those traffic inside our organization. If that should be blocked or they do not have any rules regarding the traffic, they will just block it or drop the traffic. And then behind the firewalls, generally we have those intrusion detection systems, or on the assets that we are securing. For instance, let's say web server, email server, we will have the antivirus protection. So it takes a while or time to, like, if they want to DDoS those antivirus, it is very I mean, it is not easily accessible, I would say. for attackers to just DDoS antivirus protection, because generally antivirus protection is behind the firewall, behind the intrusion detection systems, and it is installed on the assets. For instance, let's say web server, and to like also DDoS the web servers or email servers that we are protecting, or on any other servers that we have. In front of those servers, we have the firewalls, and maybe or many organizations, they have multiple layers of firewalls, and then they will have intrusion detection system. So it is not directly accessible, but of course, if we will flood the firewalls a lot, maybe they will become overloaded, and some traffic will bypass that. But yeah, it is not directly accessible. But if organizations, they have not installed any protection in front of those assets, and where like for instance in front of web servers or email servers, then they are open to like exposed to some DDoS attacks, and then they can DDoS, and attackers can turn off the antivirus. So generally, attackers, they do not DDoS those antivirus tools, because it won't help a lot. What they will do, they will try to compromise those systems where antivirus is installed. For instance, the servers where antivirus is installed, and then they will try to see whether they can turn off those antivirus. So that's how it works generally. Any other question? So I can see another question is like, what differentiate reconnaissance from scanning? So reconnaissance is like, it can be active or passive, and then the scanning is like active part of the reconnaissance, where we try to directly interact with the system and try to analyze the response, and then try to understand what operating systems, what ports that they have, what are the services running. Should we stop here because we have other session from 12?
Yes, this is that. We can stop and give them a 20 minutes break. So exactly
Yeah.
at 12:05. Okay,
Okay.
12:05
Yeah.
we can join again.
Yeah. Thank you,
So
sir.
I'll join at 12:05.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.